Hi everyone, I'm Mark Thompson with the Royal Report, the weekly highlight show for the Reading Royals, the ECHL affiliate of the Toronto Maple Leafs and Toronto Marlies, as well as the Boston Bruins. Well, as we arrived to the Sovereign Center on Wednesday night, it felt like I was having a flashback. No, not to Haight-Ashbury in the summer of love, although there certainly wasn't anything wrong with that, but the winter of hate, or at least the winter of competitive fire, circa February of 2008, when the Royals were just getting to know our neighbors to the north, the Elmira Jackals. Chaz Johnson, Pierre-Luc Faubert, Bobby Robbins, Yannick Tifu, and in later times the Donati twins. And oh yeah, all led by the bright and cheery demeanor of one Steve Martinson. And here they were again, this time under the guise of the Chicago Express. A likely story if I ever heard one. All we needed was Malcolm McMillan. I love the smell of a good line brawl in the morning. Actually, in this first of back-to-back games against the Chicago Express last Wednesday, all we needed was Malcolm McMillan, as the tinderbox factor was in full effect, as Chicago's one-man wrecking crew Bobby Robbins ran around crushing guys left and right and igniting a tilt with John Scrimgeour. Heck, Matt Shepke was in a fight, for crying out loud, if that tells you anything. But on this night, it would be the Royals' power play that produced the first goal of the evening. No, not for the Royals, however, unfortunately. Instead, a misstep turnover at the offensive blue line sent our old friend Chaz Johnson on a shorthanded breakaway, which he didn't waste, burying the puck 5-hole on Joe Palmer to stake the Express to a 1-0 lead 10 minutes into the game. That was just one of more than a few shots that Palmer would face in this game. He saw a season-high 47 by the end of regulation time, but it would be the only one that would get behind him in the first 40 minutes. And for that reason, despite getting outshot 25-9 in the first 35 minutes, the Royals were able to hang around long enough to get a couple of goals on their own. The first on a play started by Rob Shear and finished on a backdoor swipe of a Chad Payne show pass by Marvin Degon, 15:56 into the second. And the second on a Matt Shepke redirect of a Denny Urban shot from the high slot, while the Royals were on the power play with 2:02 left in period 2. But then came period 3, and if the onslaught hadn't been on before, it certainly was now. 19 third period shots later, and that was as many as the Royals had the whole game, by the way, the Express were chugging down the track with the 2 points after goals by Riley Blair and a game winner from, you guessed it, a former Jackal, Bobby Robbins, with just 2:21 left in regulation, left the Royals with their first one-goal regulation loss of the year. In Friday's rematch against the Elmira Jackals, the Chicago Express, the Royals certainly turned one problem around: shots on goal. On Wednesday night, the Express had more than doubled Reading shots. 47-19 was the final tally. But in the first period on Friday night, the Royals doubled Chicago's output 12-6. But nonetheless, it was Chicago that struck first when the Royals got stuck 2 skaters down early in the first due to back-to-back penalties against Casey Haynes and Everett Sheen. At one time in the season, we probably could have just gone ahead and agreed to give the opponent's power play at least one goal in that sequence and not have to bother with actually playing it out. But of late, the Royals' penalty kill has been nails, and they were able to keep the Express at bay during the extended 5-on-3 in this one. But Chicago broke through on the back end of the power play sequence to take a 1-0 lead 5:27 into the game when another Johnson, Tyler, not Chaz this time, buried a weak side snapshot after receiving a beautifully placed diagonal down pinpoint pass from Tyler Donati. And oh yeah, just in case you were concerned, Chaz Johnson did get a secondary assist on the play. 58 seconds later, however, Reading turned the power play table on their first chance with the man advantage when Yannick Riendo fed Olivier Labelle, who in turn dropped to the trailer Denny Urban coming down the gut just as the Red Sea parted in the middle of the slot and allowed him to pick his spot for his third of the year. From that point forward, however, we were right back in Elmira as the Express got 3 straight from former Jackals, all 3 of whom have previously notched their Royal killer credentials on their holsters. The first on a big, juicy rebound from Royals goaltender Karel St. Laurent that big Chaz Johnson buried 16-14 into the first. The second on a low bullet off the stick of one Tyler Donati that simply blitzed St. Laurent 11:04 into the second. And then the dagger with less than a minute remaining in the second period when Yannick Tifu, that Yannick Tifu, tracked down a misplayed keep at the offensive blue line in the neutral zone, fed Tyler Johnson for a shot, and then punched back the rebound at the left side of the net to put yet another nail in the Royals' coffin. Ryan Crothers did add his 49th career goal and 141st career point third. But in all reality, the Royals, who were once again outshot in the final period in this one, went away with nary a whimper. So after getting handed back-to-back losses by Elmira West, or as the league likes to call them, the Chicago Express, on Saturday night the Royals had a chance to try their hand against Elmira East, or as the league likes to call them, the Elmira Jackals. Things started pretty good for the Royals in the team's second trip to First Arena this year when 5:27 into the game, Everett Sheen finished on a mad scramble around the Jackals' net that was kept alive by John Scrimgeour and Rob Shear to stake the Royals to an early 1-0 lead. Reading extended that lead to 2, 4:16 into the second period when Marvin Degon picked one off in the neutral zone, carried into the offensive end, and ripped a frozen rope over the left shoulder of Jackal goaltender Timo Pielmeyer for his fourth goal of the year. After that, you knew the Jackals would push back hard, and they did, and it paid off a minute and 26 seconds later when a failed clear by the Royals resulted in a circle-to-circle pass from Dustin Gaisley to Mike Raja, who was totally unguarded on the weak side and found the only way to get one through Royals goaltender Joe Palmer to that point of the game, through the back door. Nonetheless, the Royals, for the third time in the last 5 games, entered the third period with a lead. And when you preface a sentence like that, you know that nothing good could possibly follow it, and you'd be right. With 6:37 left in regulation, the Jackals tied the score at 2 when Mike Raja finished on an extended sequence that started when Matt Shepke blocked the shot from the point. He went down in a heap and basically was trying to crawl to the Royals bench, and with Shepke down and out, the Jackals kept the play alive. At least until it appeared that the Royals had touched up and deserved a whistle, but the ref let play continue, and you knew what was coming after that. Yup, the game-tying goal. After that, the Royals actually got a bit fortunate just to get to overtime when they gifted the Jackals a minute and 36 seconds of 5-on-3 power play when Matt Caruana and Derek Lapointe picked up back-to-back penalties with less than 4 minutes remaining in regulation. But once again, the PK was perfect. But unfortunately, the ending of this one wasn't, as Rod Bellamy stuffed one in 125 into overtime to send the Royals packing once again with a disappointing final frame and a measly point in the standings. So I suppose the only good thing that can be said about Saturday's finish is that if you're going to lose to Elmira, you might as well lose to Elmira and not Chicago. But I'm not sure that's a great thing either. And you don't want to get in the habit of losing to Elmira regardless of what costume they have to be wearing at that point. Particularly since we play them twice more this week, on Wednesday night at the Sovereign Center and on Saturday night back in First Arena. And sandwiched between those two games, oh yeah, the top team in the Atlantic Division, the Wheeling Nailers, this Friday come to the Sovereign Center. So with the Royals mired in a season-long 5-game winless streak, this might be a good moment to pull it together and turn this baby around. We'll see. Until next week, this has been Mark Thompson with the Royal Report.